Thank you, thank you. Welcome to our first episode of our podcast. We started some time back. We did an introduction and all that, which you will see in between. But right now, we just want to dwell into the main things that we're going to be tackling: financial literacy. My name is Tshilidzi Mavhungo from Mavhungo Financial Literacy Foundation. This is your financial literacy corner. And this is where we talk of financial literacy, because more than 50% of South Africans are financially illiterate, which means financial decisions that are being made in families, in schools, in government, and many other places are not good financial decisions, and they are affected by the financial literacy rate that we have. But we are not going to really talk much about government and business today. We want to start from the core. We want to start from the family, inside your own house, your individual finance. Because the minute we tackle your individual finance, that's where we get an opportunity to be able to build a society that is responsible, a society that understands money. How do you behave around money? That's one thing that I need you to think of. How do you behave around money? Just think about it. Just keep quiet a bit and think about the time when you had so much money. Maybe you had 100,000 in your account, or maybe you had more than that, or maybe it may be less. More money, a lot of money to people is different. You may find yourself holding a lot of money, and how did you behave around money? What was your first intentions on what I'm going to do with this money? Did you start overspending? Did you plan things that today you cannot point at and say, these are the things that I bought with the money? But how did you behave? What happened when you started working? What was it that you did with your first salary? Is it something that you can look back at and say, look, this is what I did? Or the first thing was to get into debt, and today, as we speak, you're over indebted and you don't know how to survive day to day. There's a lot of people who talk out there and say, you know what, I get paid, but my money just disappears. The question is, where is my money? Where does my money go? And these are the questions that a lot of South Africans and a lot of Africans in the continent ask themselves. And we also ask ourselves questions like, why are we different? Why is our finances in the continent different from the finances in other continents? What is it that they do better that we don't do? It starts from the household. It starts from you. It starts from the psychology within you. The way you think about money, the way you treat money, and the way you act around money. And that is exactly why we have financial literacy. So the financial literacy corner will be concentrating on that. We will be unpacking issues that we face every day about money. There may be a situation where the issue is not with you, but it's with the people around you. And that also can affect you. It can be your spouse, it can be your children, it can be your family members, it can be friends who are not financially literate, who influence your decisions when it comes to money. And that is one thing that is affecting a lot of people. The friends you keep can also affect your financial literacy. So the first thing that I want us to tackle, the first thing that I want us to talk about, I want us to tackle the issue of financial literacy in how this benefits us. Financial literacy reduces stress. How do you reduce stress through financial literacy? What is it that makes you worry every day? Is it money, or is it just life? Most of the time, when you start worrying, it's because your bank account is empty. And that's one thing that makes a lot of people worry about in life. And that's exactly the stress that we're talking about. The minute they tell you that, you know, this is your last month at work, you are getting your retrenchment letter, you are leaving, we're going to give you a package. the stress you feel in that moment, you feel less of a woman, less of a man, just because that pocket of money is going to go away. That guaranteed income that you get every month is no longer going to be there. And that is the stress that we're talking about. The stress of feeling that I'm earning too little to take care of my family. The fact that you're thinking, I have too many debts and I won't be able to pay all of them month end. And even though I can't pay all of them, I won't be left with anything to survive with. So that is the stress that we are talking about. So financial literacy can reduce your stress. So if you sit and watch this podcast, you are going to find that at the end of the podcast, your stress level may be reduced because of things that you learned from this podcast. This is Financial Literacy Corner, and this is where you come and sit at the corner with me and we discuss money. Because at the corners where you sit, with the guys, with the ladies out, at the braai, at the society, at the funerals, and all these other places, those corners do not discuss money. Because every man has the pride, every woman has their own pride to say, you know what, if I talk about my money and my problems, people will look down on me. And that's the society we live in, where money is not a topic that we talk about. We can talk about sports, we can talk about politics, and all the other things. But this is a safe corner where you can come and talk to us, where you can come and listen, where you can comment on the comment section and say, look, I am one of those who are experiencing these problems. Can't you tackle this topic? Can't you talk about this? This is what we're facing, so that we can tackle topics that you want us to tackle. But I was saying, stress can be reduced through financial literacy. Freedom. That's the second thing that you need to think of. If you want financial freedom, you need to be financially literate. And it's a process. You need to learn. Freedom in such a way that you have enough money to survive, enough money to take care of your family and yourself. And you can only be able to do that when you know how to handle money. But the biggest challenge that is creating poverty, that is creating all these challenges in our lives, is the fact that even when you have won a lottery, you fail to keep the money and you lose it all. That is why we have programs about that, of people who managed to make money, but they lost it all because of financial literacy. So freedom can come through financial literacy, not money itself. Because financial literacy can make sure that you have enough in your pocket. And that is why financial literacy is important. And lastly, financial literacy can make it possible for you to achieve your goals. Almost every year, people wake up and say, this is a new year, and here are my New Year resolutions. But the question is, how many times have you reached those goals? Have you managed to achieve your New Year resolutions? You know why you don't achieve them? Every single resolution you had to do with money. Because everything that you wanted to do was supposed to be financed, but you did not budget for it. You did not think of how am I going to achieve this on the money side. You thought of it as something that you want to achieve. Maybe you wanted to get that degree. Maybe you wanted to do a master's. Maybe you wanted to take your child to a new school. But you did not. Maybe you wanted to buy a new car. But you did not sit down and use financial literacy to plan your year, to plan your month, to plan your day on how am I going to be able to achieve this? What source of income am I going to receive? What are the streams of income am I going to create to be able to achieve this goal? And that is one thing that can help you. With money, you are able to achieve your goals. Because if you can't do it yourself, you can hire somebody else to do it for you. But without money, you will struggle on your own, and at the end of the day, you may fail. And that is one thing that financial literacy can also help you with. So, I want us to think, am I financially literate? If you are 10, out of these 10, 5 people are financially illiterate. If you are financially illiterate yourself, maybe your partner is not. And if your partner is not, it means you're going to fight every day about money. Sometimes you will even avoid money topics in your house. Why? Because you have a financially illiterate partner. Maybe they will misuse money and get into trouble. And you get into trouble with them too, because obviously they are part of your life. And that is because of financial literacy, which you can find in families, from parents to children and to the next generation, because in that family, financial literacy was not a topic. And we cannot continue like this. We cannot continue in a situation where everyone just do as they like and they don't have goals and they don't plan their money. So the first thing that I want us to talk about, because before we go deep into creating wealth and building businesses and protecting our wealth, how do we create this wealth? How do we deal with the stigma that we have now that is making us poor? Mastering money flow. Mastering money flow. Money flow is what we call your budget. How the money comes in and how the money goes out. You know, when we were growing up, once in a while, you were supposed to take kettles to the deep, where you get there and then you push them in, you force them in, and they go into the water, and when they come out on the other side, you know, all the pests in their body are gone. Cleaning them up. And that is almost the same situation when it comes to budgeting. Money comes in from one side and money goes out from the other side. And that is why no one keeps money forever. Money comes and goes. And that is why even winning a lottery is not enough, because the money you received will have to get out of your hands one day. But how do you keep it flowing in and flowing out? And that is what a budget is all about. So when you think of a budget, a lot of people, when they think of a budget, they think of a budget as something that is there to make their life difficult. They think of a budget as something that comes to their life to make them think too much about money. In some families, budgeting is a source of disaster, because the minute you start saying, let's sit down and talk about money, the other partner will be, oh, now you want to control my money. Now you want to know how much I make, and now you want to have control over my money. Do you, I will do me. I will manage my own money. I'm an adult, manage your own money. If there's something that we need to buy in the house, I will come and also give you a share and you bring your own. The rest, we don't talk about money in this house. People don't want to share information about money in families, but they are able to share everything else. But because of financial illiteracy, you find that a lot of us are married in community of property. Meaning, according to your marital status, you are supposed to share everything about your money. Because the other partner must know what is going on, because they are involved in your finances too. And that's exactly what will happen if you're gone. They will be shown everything, and they will know everything about your money. Why don't you show them now when you're still alive? So a lot of people think, you know, talking about money is a way of restricting myself, or budgeting is a way of restricting myself from enjoying. Budgeting is a way of restricting myself or abusing myself. But where there's no plan, there's no future. Where there's no plan, there's no future. Let me give you a simple example. John decides to build a house, and John has this money that he wants to use. To build this house, he decides, okay, I have a stand, let me start building. How are you going to build? He decides, no, it's not a problem. I'm just going to start with bricks and lay them and build my house and put a roof. I know, I've seen it on internet. I know how it's done. I can DIY this thing. Then he puts everything, and then the roof is there. Then rain comes, then wind comes, and the house falls apart. But a friend next door, Mr. X, goes and asks a person who's a professional and say, look, create a plan for me. I know how to build, but create a plan for me, do right measurements, and give me a plan, and then I will implement that plan to build my house. He starts with the foundation, he puts everything in place, and he goes according to the measurements, and he builds a house. When rain comes, when storms comes, when wind comes, that house stands. It may have taken longer for him, but his house is standing. But the other guy's house has fallen, and he has lost everything. Why? There was no plan. How do you know where to stop and make a corner of your house when you don't have a plan? How do you know which level are you supposed to put a roof when you don't have a plan? It's the same thing with life. When you have money in your account that you have not planned for, you think it's a lot. Until you sit down and draft a budget. When you draw your budget, that's when you start realizing, oh my God, I don't have enough money. Actually, I'm on a deficit. The money that I have is not enough to cover the things that I want to cover. And because of that, which means I need to start cutting down on certain things. And that is how budgeting is done. And I'm giving you these reasons so that you can understand that the foundation of financial literacy is starting to understand your money. And when you understand your money, you are on the right track. And that's the first step. So how do you budget? A budget is a simple income and expenditure. Where do you do that? You can use a spreadsheet. You can use different apps that are available. But if you are using a spreadsheet, you're just going to indicate your income. How much am I going to make? Or how much did I make? Then draw down the things that you're going to buy with that money. Some are long-term, some are short-term plans. And when you have indicated everything that you want to buy, you'll realize that the money is not enough. And then you will cut down on things that are not essential. And that's how you start budgeting. But that's not all. You have different methods that you can use. You have different methods that you can use when budgeting. Some prefer the 50-30-20 rule, where you don't use all your money in the house. You use around maybe 50%, and 30% goes towards your debts, and the remaining 20% is saved. It can be done differently. People have different ways of budgeting, but that is one way that people are using. And when you use it like this, it makes it easy for you to live within your means. Because you're not going to buy things that are beyond 50% of your income. You're not going to try and live life that will make you go beyond the 50%. And you still be able to save money and invest in different things. The difference between the poor and the rich is how they handle money. Many people spend 120% to 130% of the income they earn. And there's no big reason why you do that. It's just that you're living beyond your means. You're going beyond and you want to impress. So the 50-30-20 rule creates discipline. And if you start this for youngsters that are starting, if you start this at a young age, when you're starting to earn your income, when you're still a student, and you use the 50-30-20 rule, you can be able to be a very disciplined young person who will be able to manage their finances when they grow older. So, due to financial literacy, a lot of people went the other side, where the 50% goes to debt and the remaining goes to other things. Or maybe 60% or 70% goes to debt and the remaining goes to other things. And that is why you think your money just disappears. Because obviously, after the debit orders, you're left with nothing. And that's not a healthy way of living, because that is stressful. And you don't want that stress in you. You don't want to be in that situation. So there are many ways to budget. There's zero-based budgeting, cash envelope systems, and others, which I'm not going to elaborate on. Actionable tips when you want to take action. Go and track your income. Go print your bank statement, maybe 3 months. Track your income. Check how much money you make. Check how much money you make and see if this money is the same as fixed every month, or this money varies from month to month. If it varies from month to month, what is your average? When you take the 3 months, you add them together and you divide them by 3 so that you can get your average income. When you know your average income, now you know how much you can estimate as your income. And when you have that income, that's where you will be able then to say, here is my money. What are my expenses? You go to your bank statement again and check what you used your money for. Check the things that are eating your money away. Check the debts that are there that are taking your money. And these are the first things that you're going to have on your budget. Usually, after doing this, you'll realize that whatever you have on your bank statement takes away all your salary, and you're left with nothing. But a lot of people are scared of checking their bank statements. They don't even want to see what is there. They don't want to see what is going on because they are scared of the reality that they're going to face. But I'm challenging you today to go print your bank statement or view it on your phone. Write down everything that you spend your money on. If it's airtime, if it's data, add that money together and see the total amount that you spent your money on airtime. If it's just transferring money to people, add that money together and see how much you spent there. It's very important before you draw your budget that you know exactly what is going on with your money. So this is very important. And it's not only important because you're just doing it, but it's important because you want to create a certain habit. You know, when you create a habit, it takes around 6 months to become used to that habit. Even a bad habit, when you start doing things that are not good, at first you feel bad about it, but as time goes, you start getting used to it. And over a period of 6 months or so, that is part of your life, and you don't feel anything anymore. It's like when you're living in a dirty place. The first day you arrive, you won't be happy with the dirtiness of the area. You will be complaining and all that. Day 2 and 3, maybe you are, but day 4, you're starting to get used to it. And after a few months, that is your home. You don't care anymore. You're part of the people that live in that space, and you don't care anymore. And the same thing with habits. Bad habits are like that. But you can create new habits now, where you say to yourself, look, I'm going to draw my budget. I'm going to draw my budget. I'm going to check what is happening in my bank account. And when you do that, that's where you'll realize where your loopholes are. Maybe you shouldn't be buying prepaid data and prepaid airtime. Maybe you needed a contract that will charge you maybe 200 Rand to 300 Rand a month and give you enough data to last for a month. Instead of buying data every day and you spend 1,000 to 2,000 Rands. Maybe you need to buy electricity in bulk instead of buying electricity every 3 days, where your units are going down every day. So these are the kind of things that you'll pick up when you start checking your money. But without a plan, and when you're walking blank, your depression, your stress, and everything can come towards you, and you won't be a happy person. And you start fighting people that are not fighting you. You won't want to talk to the partner at home. When kids come and say, Dad, Mom, at school they said, already you're shouting at them because you don't have a plan. You know very well that this will come, but why didn't you budget for it? I'm talking to people who may be earning something, and I'm talking to people who may one day lose their jobs because people are being retrenched every day. If you can't survive now with your job, how will you survive when you have lost it? Is there a plan in place for in case you don't work anymore? And if there's no plan, then the question is, why are you not sticking to a budget where you can even invest and save for rainy seasons? A lot of people will say, I don't have enough. Who has enough? Is it a millionaire? A billionaire? Or somebody who's earning more than you? Everyone don't have enough. That is why every single year we have people going on strikes and complaining and saying, we want more money. Because no one has enough. Why do we not have enough? We move the goalpost. When today I'm riding a bicycle and my income allows me to ride a bicycle, the minute my income increases, I want to ride a scooter. When the income increases, I want to buy a car. But when the income increases, I want to buy the most expensive one. And if I become become a business person, maybe and earn more than what I was earning before, I want a private jet. And you move the goalpost every single day. Just tell me, what happens when your salary increases? Do you continue living the same lifestyle that you were living? Or do you change where you stay and stay somewhere else because it's no longer safe where you were? Or it's no longer, up to your standard? And these goalposts are the ones that are costing us. Everyone earns, but no one has enough. Because the lifestyle that we are living in, especially South Africa, is a consumerism lifestyle, where we spend and we don't invest, where we eat and never plow. We don't plan, but we want to live a good life. So without planning, I'm telling you right now, 10 years from now, you'll find yourself at the same place, living the same life, complaining about the same things, and going nowhere. We all have the same hours. Some make it, some don't. But the difference is discipline. And that is exactly what a budget is all about. Discipline. You need to plan your things in advance and know exactly what you are planning for and what you want. So there's this part that I want us to also tackle. Taming the beast. Understanding and managing debt. I just touched it a bit at the beginning. But now I want us to get deep into this. One big thing that happened after 1994 when people got democracy is that institutions that were meant for certain races and certain races were not allowed to really use them, not wanting to go to politics though. They were open for everyone. And people became excited. There were opportunities that people had. People could start businesses. People could do a lot of things that they were not allowed to do before. People would own houses in places that they could not own houses before. The excitement made us go into so much debt. There was a time where credit cards could be found in post boxes. And you have a limit that you don't even believe that is yours. And people got into too much debt. And that created a culture that today we're living in. If our parents went into debt, we think that is the solution to every problem. Because we can't wait anymore. We're not people who wait. We are people who want things now. Everything must be instant. And that instant lifestyle is the one that is killing a lot of us today. As much as we're driving nice cars, as much as we're wearing labels and expensive clothing, as much as we're staying in beautiful houses, we are crying every day because of debt. When we lose our jobs, we lose everything because we own nothing. The food you eat has been borrowed. The car you drive was borrowed. The clothes that you have are borrowed. You are borrowed. Because, you own nothing. Nothing is on your name. Why? Because everything is debt. Debt is good and debt is bad, depending on what type of asset or liability that you're buying. So there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. And that is one thing that we want to tackle when we want to tame the beast. When we're saying taming the beast, we're talking about the inner you, your subconscious mind. What do you do when somebody comes to you and say, we have a shortage of money. We don't have enough money to be able to buy the type of couch that we want? Do you immediately say, no, don't worry, we can go borrow money and buy? Or do you start thinking, okay, what other streams of income can I create right now that can allow me to buy the couch that I'm looking for? What are other things that I can do? For example, you are from Limpopo. You pass the fruit market in Chakuma every day when you're coming to Gauteng. If you're coming to this side, why don't you pass there with a buggy and put it on social media and say, guys, look, I'm bringing fruits. We are going to meet at this area. And when you get there, people are ready to buy. They can even order on your online and send you messages on WhatsApp and say, deliver to me. After those deliveries, you may have enough to buy what you want to buy. But no, we want comfortable lives. We want to wear suits like Mr. Mavhungo here. We want to be nice. We want to be seen. We can't do things that, people will look down on us, because we don't want to have other extra sources of income. We just want to go to work. When we're done, we want to go home and relax. And month end, we want income to come in. No extra income, no other plan, and we are so dependent on our employers who are also struggling themselves, and they may close down. And what happens to you when they close down? So you should be worried if you're in that situation where debt is a solution to every problem. And that's exactly what we're also teaching our kids, because they learn from us. How then do I differentiate debt? Good debt versus bad debt. There's a difference. If I'm going to borrow money to buy a flat which will allow me to be very closer to work and give me enough time to be able to relax, and when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to wake up too early to be able to go to work and make my money. If I'm buying a place where I will be able to do other things, for example, a small union office where you can be able to run a small business for yourself, those are investments. Those are things, and I know there may be an argument that a place to stay is not an investment, but if it comes to with convenience, the opportunity cost of that can play a big role. Rather be closer to where you're working, for example, than being so far away and travel long distances and risk your own health, than being closer to work and be able to do your job well so that you can even get that promotion, so that you can even earn more. So in that way, you have just created something positive for yourself. Same thing applies if you start a small business or you buy things and sell through the money that you received. This source or this asset that you created can be able to pay off the debt. And in that way, that is a good debt. You have different things that you can think of that I might not mention. But if you're going to go borrow money just because you want to go enjoy yourself with your friends, I'm telling you right now, that is bad. That is a bad debt. Because you are not going to be able to pay that money back through what you did with the money. You have not built an asset. You have built yourself a liability. If you want a luxury car that you don't need and you go borrow it, unless if it's a car that you need to be moving from point 1 to point B and it's going to make life easy for you. But if it's something that you don't need, it's just because others have it and I also want to have it, fear of missing out. That is a bad debt. You don't have to do that. Because at the end of the day, you will pay for something that has lost value, that next year you'll be wanting a new one. So I'm just giving you examples of what a bad debt is and what a good debt may be. What you can do, these are the tips that I can give you. What you can do to be able to, at least deal with your debt. List all your debts. I know it's difficult to do, but I want you to do it. Go list all your debts. Write them one by one. You can get those on your bank statement on the debit orders that go out. List all of them. Check all of them, list them, and list exactly how much you pay per month and the balance that you're left with. After listing them, look at the smallest one or the one with the highest interest, depending on how you want them to deal with them. And say to yourself, debt, I'm going to deal with you now. Going forward, I'm going to make sure that I pay you off. Face that debt in the eyes and say, debt, you are getting out of my way now. And budget. When you do your budget, make sure that you cut out things that are luxuries. When I talk about luxuries, I'm also talking about food. How much food do you throw in the dustbin? That food that you throw in the dustbin was bought with money. If that food was bought with money, it means you're throwing money into the dustbin. Then, buy what you're going to finish. When you get to a restaurant, order what you're going to finish. Don't order things that you're going to leave in a plate. You will be surprised how much money you can save by just doing that. If you go to work alone and drive alone to go to work, and there are other colleagues that are going to the same direction from your area, why don't you have a lift club where you drive together and you share the responsibility? In that way, you reduce traffic and you also save money. Of course, there will be days where you have to travel on your own, but there will be days where you have to travel together, and those will be the most days. And in that way, you will save some money. Yes, of course, we may look down on you because that is the culture of our people here. Maybe we'll say, no, he's broke now. That is why he's asking for a lift club. It's okay. You are doing it for who? For them or for yourself? If you are driving a big car and you have a small car at home, why don't you use the small car, the one that is fuel efficient, and save on petrol? Well, by saving on petrol, you can channel that money towards that debt that I'm talking about. So I'm also teaching you ways of reducing your expenses so that you can focus on your debt. But here's another way. I don't want to reduce anything. If you don't want to reduce your expenses, you need to create another source of income. A lot of people are doing e-hailing out there. And guess what? You qualify for that small car that you can buy and do e-hailing with, a second-hand one. There's boys out there who are looking for work. Why don't you go study that industry, understand it properly, and get some few cars and put them on the road and see if you're not going to make some extra cash to reduce your debt? Why don't you have a fruit market where you stock fruits and put somebody on the side of the road, or open a market in a store where you are selling these things? Why don't you have a franchise Do you know that people buy houses to stay in that are worth $1 million or $2 million or $3 million? And that's exactly the same price franchises are. But no one go and ask and say, I want to buy a franchise. A franchise will be bringing in money. There are different types of franchises. You may say, I don't want to go into food, but you can go to something else. Why don't you buy one and get some people to manage it properly? You'll be trained for that. You'll get finance for that. Why don't you do that and have an extra income and create jobs at the same time? But people don't want to do that. People are comfortable. People want comfort zones. And when other people from other nations come and say, look, I see a spot here, I'm going to open a shop, people start complaining. You're taking our jobs. Where were you? That corner has been there since you were born. But you never thought of putting a shop there until somebody else come and put a shop and you start complaining. When are we going to stop complaining and come up with solutions? So I'm saying to you, your debts can be finished. Somebody said to me when I was young, Tshilidzi, all the people you see walking here in the mall have money in their pockets. The question that you must ask yourself is, how can I take money out of their pockets legally? All I need to do is to be able to take that money out of their pockets to my pocket legally. This man was an accountant, Mr. Mureru. And he would say to me, stay in the office, my boy. I'm going to come back with money. You go buy perfumes in one of the shops, go stand on the side of the mall, and whenever people come from the taxi rank, he will be selling these perfumes to them for a higher price. It is there in the shop, but he's just standing outside the shop and selling the same perfumes. And they will buy from him. And after buying from him, when he comes back to you, he will say, look, I just sold 100 perfumes. And this is how much money I made. I'm going to buy bread for my kids. And that's how he made money. But we are sitting with our intelligence and brains and everything, and we are doing nothing. We sit and complain about everything, and we don't have a solution. So we can get out of debt. There are many ways to do it, and I just shared some few. There's your own way that you can come up with, that you can try and solve this problem. Another way is to save money so that when you have a bit, you can go and settle your debts, or pay in advance so that you reduce interest on your debts. But you can start with a small one and go up and up until you get to the bigger one. Or you can start with the one with the highest interest so that when you finish it, then the interest that was going there that you were losing will not be going there anymore. So these are the kind of things that you're going to be able to do. But how will you know about this when you don't budget? How will you know when you don't know how much you spend and you don't know what you spend it on? And that's exactly the reason why we encourage you to budget. You may have been told this many times, and you are thinking that this is just one of those. This is just one of those where people just tell us about budgeting, where they don't do it themselves. We wouldn't be where we are if we were not budgeting. But there's one part that I want to also tackle. Financial safety net. The reason why a lot of people get into debt sometimes is because they don't have a financial safety net. A financial safety net is very important. And you cannot have a safety net when you don't have a place where you keep your money. You need to start keeping money aside. Remember the 50-30-20 rule, where 20% goes towards your saving and investment. What is investments? Investments are those vehicles or assets that you keep money on or you buy that will bring profit or interest. And interest that is enough to beat inflation. But savings is where you save money so that it cannot lose value. Where your money stays the same value even the following year. That is why you find that most savings accounts are just within the range of your inflation rate, so that your money don't lose value. That is why we don't encourage you to put money under your mattress, because when it's there, it's losing value every day. And if you bought a loaf of bread for 20 rands today, next year you might buy for 21 or 22 rands. I still remember the varsity years. There was a bakery where we used to buy bread for 2 rands. And when you tell kids today that I used to buy bread for 2 rands, they will look at you and laugh and say, there's no way that you can buy bread for 2 rands. Can't even buy sweets with 2 rands. But it's because of inflation and losing value of the money. And if I kept my money then, 100 rand then, thinking that I will use it now, it wouldn't buy what it used to buy then. So that is why you need to have a safety net where you save money so that when you have emergencies, you don't go into debt. And that's how you get out of debt. So these are the kind of things that I want us to look at and say, I am comfortable. I have reduced my stress because there's money in my account. Tell me, how do you feel when you are broke? When you are broke, like literally broke, where there's no money at all in your account, how do you feel? Don't you feel depressed? Don't you feel anxiety and wonder what will happen if something can happen and I don't have money? But when you have money in your account, how does that feel? Even if you don't want to use it now. How does that feel? Don't you feel like, I'm comfortable, I'm fine. There's money in my pocket, there's money in my account. If anything happens, I can go and withdraw that money. How did you feel when you opened your first savings account, where you said, this money I'm putting it away, I will use it later, and you left it there for a whole month? That feeling is good. You feel responsible. You feel accountable. And that's exactly how you're supposed to feel. So I'm saying to you, it is important to start learning these things. Of course, all the time when we talk about saving money, all the time when we talk about these things, you start saying, no, it's not impossible. It's not possible in our country. It's not possible in our continent because we earn so little. But believe me, I've worked in the banking space. The people who save the most are the ones who are living in informal settlements. And the people who borrow the most are the ones living in the suburbs. The people who save the most are the pensioners. The people who borrow the most are the young adults who are still able to work. People who are in their mid-40s and younger, they are the ones who are borrowing a lot. And all these things do not make sense. Because you were supposed to save a lot when you are young, and you spend that money when you're older, so that because you can't work anymore. But you will find that older people are doing much better than their young counterparts. And the question is why? The question that I'm asking you now, what is it that is eating your money? Why can't you save? Why are you over-indebted? Why are you unable to achieve your goals? It all boils down to budgeting. It all comes down to not tracking your money, not knowing what is happening. If you go and print out your bank statement now, you will find things that are taking money from your pocket that you didn't even know they're there. You'll find policies that you don't even remember what you were insured for. There's a lot that you're going to find, and you'll be surprised. Please put on the comment section what you found when you started checking your bank statement. And please come back to this comment section and write to us and tell us how your life improved after listening to this podcast. And I believe this will help you. It has helped many people. In the banking space where I was, it helped a lot. In the insurance space where I worked, it helped a lot. And now in the business space where I am, it is helping a lot. Financial literacy is a key to success. And every man that is financially literate, every woman that is financially literate, mostly make it in life. And go and ask those who have made it, those who are considered rich, though most of them don't consider themselves rich. They know how to handle money. They know how to behave around money. There's still a lot that we can talk about, but we cannot go further before we talk about budgeting. And I think with that, I must thank you for listening to me from the beginning to now and taking down all the things that I've been telling you. If you didn't take them down, you can go back and check from the beginning and see things that you can learn from this, note them down, and practice them. And when you practice them, you create a habit. And when you create a habit, it becomes your life. I once said to people on a live, on one of the these social media platforms, you know, when you learn to drive, you would sit in that truck or that car and hold the steering wheel with both hands. And you want to start the car and you want to drive. But you are not sure whether you must use your left or your right to change the gear. You don't know which one is a clutch and which one is an accelerator. You don't know where to brake. And when you want to use this brake or the accelerator or the clutch, you need to look down and check. Same thing applies when you want to change the gear. You have to look at it and say, you know, where is one, where is two? Where is the reverse? And when you're driving, you feel like you must hold this car tightly so that it must not go to the sides. But over time, when you were continuing, today you don't look down when you want to change gears, when you want to accelerate. You don't even think about it. You just do it. You can do it while you're on a call, on a loudspeaker on a call. You can do it while just looking at other cars that are driving around you. You can do it while talking to a friend next to you. How? Because whatever you learned went into your subconscious mind. And when it's in your subconscious mind take over and repeat these actions every day the way you taught it. And you have stored this information in you and it's part of you now. Same thing with soccer players. Same thing with tennis players. Same thing with all the sports, actors, and all these people. They learn the craft and they practice it again and again until their subconscious mind takes over and they don't even have to think when they do it. That is the same energy you must put in repeating the budgeting process again and again to a level where you won't even have to think. You'll just take a pen and a paper and start writing your budget because you are so used to it. To a level where you won't go to a shop without a list of things that you're going to buy. When you don't have a list, you won't know what to do because you always get a list and you buy what you need based on your budget. And that is how budgeting starts. That is how discipline starts. And fear of missing out must not be part of the things that you think about. Everyone has their own way of doing things. And you're not everyone. You are you. And you're unique. So if you can learn this and teach this to your partner and your kids, you will live a stress-free or a less stress life. But if you don't, I'm telling you, my sister, my brother, stress is your companion. stress is part of your life forever, because money and stress go together if you don't handle your money well. And thank you. This is Tshilidzi Mavhungo from Tshilidzi Mavhungo Financial Literacy Foundation, and this is your Financial Literacy Corner. See you next time.